Tiramisu is a great Italian dessert, possibly the best Italian dessert, but what happens when you bastardize it with American snacks? That's what I did for a party, and I'm going to walk you through this. The first thing for tiramisu is always start with the coffee. I like to use a little stovetop percolator. It's better than pulling shots all day. And you got to let it come to a little drip like this. This is a little bit of slow motion, but you can see there a nice little paste coming through. Very good coffee. Now, the idea that I had here was to go with a typical tiramisu, like the recipe that's on the mascarpone, but to, instead of using ladyfingers, because once you soak ladyfingers, they basically become really like mushy cake. So I figured, let me try this with Twinkies, and then instead of grating chocolate on top, to crush up some Oreos. Now, I know I didn't buy actual Oreos for this. This is the Trader Joe's version, but they're fancier. So I've made an entire video about how to make tiramisu the classic way, but let's walk through it here, and I'll give you the proportions if you want to write this down, or I think I have a PDF of it somewhere. Reach out to me on social media and I'm happy to send it to you. Prefacing, if you have an aversion to using raw eggs for this prep, I'll tell you how to do it with cooked eggs. But first you have to separate the eggs, and I always beat the egg yolks with the mascarpone cheese and add a little bit of sugar to that. And while that's going, I'll have the egg whites whipping on the side. You see that other mascarpone mixture over there to the right as these egg whites are whipping. And you want to make sure your stuff is really clean for this. Any fat is going to make this difficult. And then as this goes, once you get to really nice stiff peaks, that's when you're going to start incorporating a little bit of sugar into this and making kind of like a pseudo meringue, but kind of just like egg whites. That's essentially what it is. We're doing this in voiceover today because, as you'll see at the end, I didn't get dressed to make this video, so enjoy. Now you want this to be nice and stiff peaks, but you don't want it to like break and become watery. So that's kind of a balance. You got to watch what you're doing. I usually put half a cup of sugar in with the egg whites and then half a cup in with the mascarpone and the egg yolks. This recipe uses a dozen eggs, but if you're going to do it the classic way and actually do the egg yolks over a Zabagnon double boiler, I would say use half of the amount of eggs because it's going to actually pick up a lot of volume. What you want to do is you're going to sacrifice a little bit of your egg whites to start fluffing up the mascarpone mixture. And as you do that, you'll add a little bit of egg whites back to that, and it'll be this nice kind of creamy substance at the end. This is your base for the tiramisu. Here's where I came in with a creative choice. Instead of doing layers like you would for a typical tiramisu, I figured I would just start with the cream in the pan and then soak the Twinkies in the coffee and just lay it in there. What I really wanted in terms of the effect was for it to be really obvious those are Twinkies, and by putting them in there upside down and leaving them uncovered, I think that kind of got that effect. Then what I did, instead of grating the chocolate on top, I just crushed up Oreo cookies, and you'll see here what I started with is a taster, where I kind of just wanted to make sure that this is going to taste good. And I just crushed up a little bit, wanted to get a feel for the flavor, see how it was going to be, and I guess let's see how it tastes. I was really happy with that cream. And this is where it's like, okay, dummy, of course it's going to taste good. You got really good, nice Italian mascarpone and all those silly snacks. It's just a really fun thing and just something I wanted to try. Maybe I'll have to trade in my Italian-American card, but whatever. I hope you found this fun, and if you did, hit like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. I'm coming at you with a lot of food content in 2026, so make sure you're here for that. Enjoy, guys. Have a great day.